Welcome, everyone. My name is Marco Vargas, and I'm with the Exponential Destiny team who's facilitating the Metaverse for SDGs Global Prize in VR competition. This is information session 3A, which is best for folks in the United States region, although it will be posted online. We're excited that you're all back. And again, we welcome you and thank you for your ongoing commitment to build empathy, awareness, and educate people around the capabilities of the Metaverse to help increase awareness about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We do have more registrants on an ongoing basis. This is an outdated number, but we have about 500 participants now in the global prize competition, which is really exciting. Our goals for information session 3A are to continue our discussion around the approach and methodology that we would like to recommend for your team to design inside the metaverse, specifically around one SDG that you have selected. Today's agenda includes a couple of general updates, which I'll be hosting, and then I'll send it over to Marcus, who will be deep diving into step 4, 5, and 6 of our methodology about designing in the metaverse. And we also have a very special guest. It's Chris from Engage, which is one of our software partners and a supporter of the Metaverse for SDG Global Prize competition. And I'll go ahead and kick it off with the quick announcements. So for quick announcements, I'll share my screen again. As a reminder, the primary call to action that we have for everyone who's in the Global Prize competition is to register your team. Everyone who has access to our regular email communications at this point has individually registered, and the next step is to find your team. Again, you can go to the register to compete and see a link, team registration form. On this team registration form, I'll go quickly over it again. We ask a wide variety of information to help us really understand how we can support your team, including identifying a chapter leader. And this chapter leader will be the team lead of your group, and we'll be specifically supporting them as they as in the coming weeks. To emphasize again, for those who are wondering, how can you get access to a virtual reality headset request, a virtual reality headset or hardware? In the last step of the team registration form, you'll notice that in step 5 it says economic need for purchasing virtual reality headset. At this time, we are in the process of developing a strategy for distributing hardware all across the world. And we simply ask at this point in the team registration form, step number 5, to indicate whether we should be reaching out to you when we are ready to distribute hardware. Just to flag, there will be a process which includes the methodologies that we have been discussing, from steps 1 to 6, as a prerequisite to getting hardware. More information soon. Final announcement for today is on general updates is that the community forum is continuing to increase on a regular basis. We're now up to 70 members. Again, this is the #1 source for you to engage in a very interactive way and potentially even find team members from all around the world or from a local community. This is where I recommend you to sign up if you haven't. And then now I'd like to send over to Marcus to lead us through step to the next step.
Real quickly, Marco, before you exit the screen, a couple of resources Marco just shared with you that is a review of we've shared with you on past information sessions, but the official team registration you can get by going to the main website, and you'll be able to get to the official team registration. As Marco was describing, we have Oculus Quest 2 headsets that we'll get for individuals if you show and demonstrate an economic need. We're not giving these to everybody. We're going to give them to those that show that they can't afford a headset, and it's prohibiting them from actually participating in the competition. And we do have a budget from our sponsor money that we're using to get headsets for people. And there's a process, but the process won't start until you click this option saying you do have an economic need and you'd like to be evaluated and considered to get a headset. The community forum page that Marco was on is a Facebook page, which everyone doesn't have to be on there, but it's a good place to hang out because that's where you can find team members. That's where you can post resources that might be available around your SDG or around building community and having people in your community that might know certain tips and tricks of a certain software, et cetera. So with that said, to transition here, I'm going to take you through very quickly because I want to get to Chris Madsen in a minute from Engage, because most of this session today is going to be used to give you a tutorial on one of the platforms that you can choose to use. But as a continuation from our last discussion, which was 2 weeks ago, information session number 2, if you go back and listen to that recording on our YouTube channel, it's posted out there, you'll see that we wanted to share with all of you an approach or a methodology for basically how you get started. Like, how do you go design a metaverse space in virtual reality around the sustainable development goal that you and your team have chosen? Like, what's the first step? So we mapped that out 2 weeks ago. And, step 1 was you research the sustainable development goal. 2, you tell a story, you design a narrative. 3, you go through this process where you think about, how do I make this engaging, but how do I also make it educational? We covered all that on information session number 2. If you missed it, we highly recommend that you go back and listen to it, because we drill down into all 3 of these and we show you examples of where we've done this before. So you really get a sense for how you and your team can get started. By the way, you can do steps 1 through 3 without having any headset or using any software. You're really premeditating your approach for how you're going to go and tackle this whole competition with your ideas. So you can get started on that immediately. And there's a lot to do before you get a headset or software in VR. There's a lot of planning you need to do in terms of crafting your story. So please go back and look at those, because on this session, we're just going to conclude the 6 steps by very quickly talking about steps 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to do that just in 5 minutes here, because now for steps 4, 5, and 6, you need to actually get into virtual reality software. Now you can access the software on, you can access a software on a desktop. You can access these platforms on mobile phones. And ideally you have a headset so you can access it as it's intended in a fully immersive virtual reality environment. But you can do a lot of the building just on a desktop or even sometimes on a mobile phone before you actually get into the virtual reality software. Can you hear me okay, Marco? I'm getting messages that looks like.
Yeah, all sounds good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Marcus, you sound good.
I'm getting a weird, it's prompting me, telling me that my audio is connected to my ear pods, and I don't know where my ear pods, so I don't know what that's all about.
You sound great to us, Marcus.
Okay, so real quickly, so the reason we have Chris Madsen here today is he is really an expert in using these spaces for creating amazing environments. He's done probably hundreds of them at this point, for businesses, for individuals, etc. And he also is one of the senior people at one of the platforms that we're recommending called EngageVR. And Chris today is going to give you a basic orientation of how you get started inside one of these platforms. So I'm going to turn it over to him in a second. And Chris is going to take up the majority of the time going through this for this hour, even if we go past the hour, because this will be a resource that many of you can use and watch later to understand how to use this software. But to conclude these 6 steps, here's what we recommend, okay? Once you do steps 1 through 3, you have your story and you have your narrative identified of how you're going to build out a space in virtual reality, what your plan of attack is. What we recommend you do is there's 3, these are steps, but they're also points, they're methods. One method we suggest you use is what's called design thinking. Now, design thinking is a professional proven methodology that the folks at Apple use to design software, to design hardware, etc. And a lot of major players use design thinking. You can Google design thinking and you'll find a lot of literature and a lot of examples on this discipline or this methodology of design thinking. Essentially, what it means is you want to put yourself into the eyes and into the first person view of whoever you think is coming into your space. Okay, so for example, if you're designing a metaverse for SDGs around life below water, you have to assume that for this competition, who's going to be going into this space and how they're going to experience it. Is it going to be a 22-year-old female demographic from a wealthy community? Is it going to be a 48-year-old or 52-year-old individual from South America that's from a lower income community? I mean, you kind of want to think about the demographics of the person that you're trying to share information with and put yourself into their shoes, and then even get into their mindset. What does that type of persona like? What does that type of persona not like? What gets a 58-year-old excited about learning versus a 18-year-old excited about learning? And you want to try to think about that persona and how you take them on a journey and how you build a profile for them, and then design with that type of thinking. That's what design thinking is. It's a little more complicated than I'm describing. I'd suggest that some of you research it. It's a really good skill set to learn. It's a popular design approach. Professionals are in this space. You can get a professional career in this type of thinking and designing. But that's the basic essence of it, is you get to know your user. Now, in this case, you're designing for a very mass audience. So what you might want to consider is building multiple experiences. You might say, you know what, we're going to build an experience about life below water, but because we're dealing with digital real estate, we're going to build one path that's more tailored to a younger demographic, and we're going to build another path that's more tailored to an older demographic, because we realize you can't create one experience that meets all of the persona's needs. So we're going to create multiple paths in our environment, and we're going to let the user choose which path they want to go on. But you've tailored it to those types of personas. So that's step 4. Step 5, and this is the fun part, and Chris will probably illustrate this as well. Don't be afraid to fail, because in this environment, you're doing things that haven't been done before. I don't think anyone has built an experience within virtual reality around, a particular SDG to the extent that you might do in this competition. Why? Because it's just fairly new. The technology hasn't been around that long. People haven't been using virtual reality that long. So you don't have a lot to rely on as far as what works and what doesn't work, which means don't be afraid to fail. Don't be conservative. And the second thing is, you're dealing with digital real estate. If we were building a physical house, we should be afraid to fail, because if we get done with that house and realize that we made some mistakes, the foundation's soft, or we didn't put enough nails to keep the place up, or the wood is rotting or something, or the design is off, that failure is bad, because it costs us a lot of money, a lot of time, and now we have to redo the whole thing, and someone's not going to be happy. In this environment, you're dealing with digital real estate, digital assets. The worst case scenario, you fail and you have to hit delete. It's not that big of a deal. So what we recommend you do is, rather than premeditating it and coming up with every single element of what you want to do and how you want to do it, steps 1, 2, and 3, don't do steps 1, 2, and 3 where you've built a completely crystal clear picture of what you want to do. Get in and start experimenting, and don't be afraid to fail and learn from those failures. What that means is, put something together around your SDG. Ask your mom or your sister or your brother or friend to come in virtual reality and get feedback. Let them walk in it in virtual reality and see what they think. They might say, I really like this, but this I didn't really understand, or this got me confused, or this seemed a little overwhelming. Like, get feedback on an iterative process so you can ameliorate your design through this iterative process. Don't think you have to make it picture perfect the very first time. Plan on failing, plan on creating something, and then seeing what people think, and then failing and learning and recreating, even if you have to do the whole thing over again. That's a good practice here. And it's not going to cost you that much. It's your time, of course, but there's no physical real estate that you're dealing with. So that's step number 5, is make micro failures, because that's how you're going to get to your end goal of success. The last concept, before we turn it over to Chris to give you the lesson in Engage, is this notion of a minimum viable product, MVP. That's a common phrase. Businesses use that all the time. What's a minimum viable product? We've rebranded this minimum viable experience. And what we mean by that is, we want you to create something that you can produce in virtual reality that uses the least amount of resources. So create something that takes the least amount of time and the least amount of money for you to create, okay, but is efficient enough to get feedback from a first impression with credible feedback from one of your stakeholders. So let me repeat that. A minimum viable experience means, don't spend a lot of money to buy the most nice graphics you can possibly get and put it in your space just yet. Don't worry about the shadows and the lighting in the space just yet. Don't worry if this thing is placed in virtual reality 2 inches to the left or 2 inches to the right just yet. Just get in there and create a proof of concept. Just develop something. Create something. Don't be afraid to fail. Get a reaction from people. Make it a minimum viable experience, because you want people to give you feedback until you got to a point where you fail and learned enough times that now you feel like the whole thing works. Everything, the story's the right story, the message is the right message, the narrative and how you walk people through the space is the right way. You feel like you've got it all solved, but you haven't spent a lot of money yet. You haven't bought really high-end graphics. You've used just clip art or 3D objects that you can get for free, or you've created some of your own. It's okay if it looks a little bit clunky or if it needs a makeover and it doesn't look as cosmetically good as it could, because that's what you're creating is a minimum viable experience, just enough to get feedback, credible feedback. Because then once you get all the feedback to the point where everyone's saying, we love it, it's good, that's when you start to create the final version of it. That's when you start to maybe, for the competition purposes, maybe you decide to have one of your friends use Blender and create a better graphic than the one you pulled off the web for free. Or maybe you had a 2D graphic used as a placeholder until you brought in a 3D graphic of that same image because you didn't want to spend the money or the time to create or buy that 3D object until you're ready to actually use it and you feel like you have a final product. So these are some concepts that we want you to consider. And that, all of these concepts, you can Google these online and you'll see all these terms: design thinking, not afraid to fail, minimum viable product. Any of those things that you Google online, you'll see a lot of literature, a lot of information about these concepts. But that's how we apply those professional concepts into this process. And quite frankly, as you can see, some of it's just a mindset. It's just how you approach this. And the reason we're telling you this is because I guarantee if we didn't, some of you, because it's your first time building in VR, you might literally just create it picture perfect right out of the get-go and just put all this time and effort to making it meticulous and excellent and everything's placed perfectly and looks great. And the reality is we're saying, don't do that. Get in there and just start working, start creating, and you'll probably go through multiple iterations, and that's okay. Okay, it's a different approach, right? With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Juan, who I think is going to do a little bit of introduction to our special guest speaker for the rest of the hour, which is Chris Madsen. Thanks.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's Juan again. So today we have Chris Madsen he's part of the business development team at Engage. He will give us a walkthrough of the Engage platform. Just a heads up, we will have no Q&A, but Chris will give us a quick basic tutorial of the concepts, capabilities of the Engage platform. Also, another heads up that we might go over the hour. So if you have to drop, feel free to drop. The recording will be posted on the STG's Metaverse Prize.org website and also on the YouTube channel. So Chris, you can go ahead and take us away.
One thing real quickly, Chris, you might even want to share with people through this conversation, how do they even get Engage loaded on their desktop or even on their headset? Because we haven't covered that in previous sessions. So even starting from that square one, just so people are familiar with how they even get access to the software.
You bet. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. This is going to be something a little special. I'm not joining you on a video call today. I am actually going to be joining you from within virtual reality. Let me get this going. Okay, can we see my screen okay, everybody?
Yes, that's great.
Okay, so welcome to the Engage platform. Let me start out talking about my avatar, and then I'll talk a little bit about how you even get this software to begin with. But I want you to notice I am actually looking out of my own eyes. These are my hands in front of me. I am physically holding my arms out in front of me, gripping my hands, pointing my finger, looking around the environment by turning my body and turning my head. I am fully immersed inside of this environment. Let me pull up our little camera here and look at this. Here I am talking to you. This is a selfie basically of our camera system. And you can see that this is actually my face. You can upload a selfie and it will convert your picture into a 3D avatar. Now, this gives you a sense of presence that you are physically within this environment. And that is one of the powers of virtual reality, because when your brain is convinced that you're in a space, it feels real and it packs an emotional impact. So when people are experiencing your content inside of virtual reality, it's a different experience. than viewing it through a video, because you feel the atmosphere. You feel as though you're there, and there's studies that have shown that people that have a virtual reality experience will actually take action after having that experience versus less so if they did not have that experience in virtual reality. So what we're building, when you're a builder, take that into mind, that this is going to impact people more. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Here we are. And I can tell you that this is a much different experience. When I walk up to this tree actually feels about 20 feet tall to me. I can feel it towering over me. It's not like looking at a screen where it's, oh, that's just a tree. No, you can feel the presence and the height of this tree. Marcus asked me to share, how do we get the Engage software? All you need to do is go to the Engage website. That's EngageVR.io, and you can download a free version. We have set up a special account with Exponential Destinies that will allow you to get your name added into that account. Once your name is added into that account, it will open up for you all the creative powers that you will need. And this is what I'm going to be spending the next hour talking about, is what is this toolbox? What is this toolbox that we get to play with that's going to allow us to build out content? So let's get started with that. First thing I want to show you is how I can physically walk up and I can physically crouch down to get a good look at this vase, reach in, pick it up, rotate it, look around. And again, this is how we do things in the physical world, right? When something comes within our grasping zone, our full attention is given to that. And when we grab something, it actually becomes an extension of our brain. We are in full observation mode right now, which is why it's so much better than watching a video. I can turn this any direction I want. I can even do things I can't do in the physical world, such as scaling the object. I can make this pot extremely large and look at all the details very easily. Marcus kept mentioning underwater. You know, someone's inevitably going to do a sustainability goal that's under the ocean. So let's take a look at our locations. We have over 80 locations available to pick from catamarans on the ocean to the surface of Mars, to underwater environments, throne rooms, coffee shops, all kinds of publicly available spaces that we can access and build inside of those spaces. Here we go, shallow ocean. Let's go there next. All right, here we are in the shallow ocean. You can see the surface of the water up above me, and it's here. Let's go ahead and go down to this flat area down here. I'm just walking around in my avatar. Let's take a look at our quick access features for collaboration tools. Marcus mentioned you don't want to spend a lot of time perfecting each scene until you have the layout of your ideas. These tools, which are accessed by simply turning the back of my hand towards me, make it very easy to do that. For example, if I take my little green dot floating above my hand here and I tap the 3D pen, you can see I suddenly have this pen in my hand and a little menu of colors that I can select with the tip of my pen. Let's select red. This controls the thickness of the ink. Let's put it about midway. And then all I have to do is reach out my hand and draw, right? So maybe, you know, I want to reflect that I have a person. Maybe I want to put a person right here in this scene. I can quickly sketch that out. Maybe I want this person to be fishing. So I can easily just draw a fishing pole in his hand with a fishing line coming off. And, you know, let's put the little fish here. There we go. So I've just sketched out in seconds what a scene might look like, and I can continue that process and really just draw out an entire experience before I put a lot of effort into bringing additional content in. We also have sticky notes. If you're working collaboratively, maybe one of your friends wants to reach up here and type in a message of, add worm to hook. And I can pick the color I want. Let's go with blue and enter, and I can stick that wherever I want. So these collaboration features are great. You could even just sketch something out quickly collaboratively. Multiple people can access this board where you can just grab a pen and just start drawing. I'm from Salt Lake City, so here we go. Hello from Salt Lake City. Very easy to access these tools.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Real quickly, I think it's awesome that what you're showing. I want to emphasize and just pause on this for a second, because I think what you're suggesting is incredible. What Chris is showing you is, imagine you and your team getting into this software and literally taking a pen and, taking your markers and just drawing up your vision for what you want to eventually do. Now, obviously, you're going to replace all these drawings with actual objects later. You're going to put a real fish, a 3D fish that's probably moving. You're going to put a fishing pole. You're going to put a real person. But the fact that you can get in here so quickly and start collaborating and leave notes for one another really shows the productivity tools that are in these environments that let you plan what you're going to do with your environment without having to worry about, well, where do I get a fish that's in 3D? Where do I get a person? That can all come later. You'll figure that out, and there's tools to help you do that. But the fact that Chris is showing you how you can get in and just draw what you want to eventually do inside an environment like this ocean environment that came with the Engage software, really an effective process. The other thing you're bringing up, Chris, which I think is pretty interesting, is I bet we'll have some competitors that are real artists, because I've used that marker that you're using in VR. It's very sensitive, and I'm a painter. I'm a painter myself. You could actually, if you're artistic, you can actually spend the time to actually draw out a 3D drawing that becomes part of your experience. You don't even need to get a digital object if you can draw things really well.
Right. Or to your point too, you mentioned Blender. There are other third-party applications that are designed specifically to be able to create content, which you can then export and then import that into Engage. So let's go to the next step. Those are the easy.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Just for fun, to show people, why don't you show them how, when you finally do mock up and draft out,
that's where I'm going. Yeah.
Show them how you use a real fish and put it in
that's exact. You read my mind, Marcus. That was exactly my next step. I'm just getting ready to show off that IFX feature. And the reason why it came down underwater as well is we've got a bunch of publicly available, what we call IFX.
You lost the audio on you, Chris.
These are, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Fantastic. Okay.
Hey, Marco, can you hear him?
Yes.
Marco?
I can hear him.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to continue on. I love the dialogue with Marcus, so we hope that maybe he can get that the audio fixed there on his end.
Chris, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Good thing. Everyone can hear me.
We can hear you now, Chris. I can hear you.
Great. Yeah, everyone else could hear me that whole time, Marcus. So maybe it's something to do with your iPods there. So anyway, as Marcus said, it's very easy. I'm going to go into my IFX. You can see that I've got a menu of over 1,000 publicly available assets here. I'm going to come into my filter because we don't want to scroll through 100 different pages. I'm going to come down here and pick underwater. There we go. Hit this check mark. And now I've got multiple pages of different types of sea life. So let's go ahead and replace that drawing there with a more realistic fish. There we go. And what's great is you can actually puppeteer these items very, very easily. Let's get a clownfish. I love this one. You can scale it. You can shrink it. You can puppeteer this around and make it look like it's swimming. That's going to come in handy later when I show you the recording features, but you can continue to build out these assets. Let me go ahead and delete this whiteboard here. There we go. You can build out. Let's continue to build. Maybe there's a duck that's come down out of the water. We'll put him up there. Let's put a dolphin. Love the dolphins. Fly him around. Let's put him right there. Once you build out a complete scene, you might spend an hour or so building out a scene, and you don't want to lose what you've created. So to save that, you simply come here where it says snapshots, tap it, hit snapshot, and let's go ahead and confirm that and save it. There we go. We have now saved that snapshot. If I now come in and delete all of the IFX that I've created, we'll start from scratch, delete, delete, delete. Everything's gone. We're back to a blank slate. All I have to do is come back into snapshots, pick the one I just saved, load, and it'll say, would you like to load that in the original location? Well, yes, I would. There we go. And here we are, bringing all of that content back just like I had created it before. So that's how you see how easy it is to build out scenes. Now, you might not have a 3D object that's in the library. So in that case, you might want to look at a free online store or even go to Microsoft Paint 3D. I love Microsoft Paint 3D. Lowe's just announced that they have over 500 home-based assets, couches, pottery, plants that they are giving away for free for people that want to build in the metaverse. I've already gone to the site and downloaded about 20 assets for free from Lowe's to build inside of Engage. So there's many opportunities to bring in content. Let me go ahead and pop over here to my cloud file manager. That's this one right here. This is a web-based application that allows us, here we go. This allows us to bring in images, transparent PNGs, audio files, video files, 3D objects, and share those with others on our team and easily bring those into the platform. So for instance, let's take a look at SpaceX here. I know I downloaded some files in regards to that. Here's a Dragon capsule JPEG. Here's a PNG, the inspiration patch. I love transparent PNGs. I think they look fantastic in Engage. I just hit load, and there it is. There's my inspiration patch. Very easily. I just pulled that in straight off of Google. Let's take a look at the Dragon capsule. This is just a standard photo. You can even go around to your own environment, take pictures with your cell phone, and upload those photos straight into Engage. What else do we have in our cloud file manager? Let's pop back. Let's look at those 3D models I was talking about. There's Microsoft Paint 3D right there. I've downloaded a bunch of assets from there. Let's take a look at, for example, a book. Surely we might use a book in one of our lessons. So this is actually downloading the raw data. So this is going to take a few seconds to download. We'll give it a second to do that. Let's also download maybe one other. Oh, there it comes. There it is. There's the book right there. Look at that. Old pages are a little bit worn. This would be good for maybe something that's historical because it has that historical kind of look to it. So there's a book, just that easy that I can then manipulate. And to manipulate objects, all you have to do is aim. You'll see a little circle around that object. I squeeze my trigger one time, and then I've got possession of that. If I hit these 3 dots next to the object, I can do other functions with it, such as clone the object. Look how easy that is. I could also share the object. You now notice that that bubble has turned purple. This means if somebody was in here with me, their avatar could now reach in and manipulate that object as well. If I want to lock it in place, I can do that as well. And now you see a red circle. I can't even grab that anymore. To unlock it, I have to aim at the padlock and hit that, and now I can move it again. Sometimes you just want to make sure somebody doesn't accidentally move an asset. All right, let's take a look. What else do we got? Coral reef. Oh, there we go. This will be perfect for this environment. Let's give that a second to download. Again, it's downloading the raw data. Once you publish this as an official IFX in your library, they load much quicker. So we'll give that one a second to download.
Hey, Chris, while that's downloading, I think it's good to point out to everybody that all the features and functionality that Chris is showing you, you basically just have to learn that in the software. But keep in mind, what he's showing you is about as basic as when you first used PowerPoint.
Yes.
Or when you first edited and uploaded an Instagram post. I mean, when the first time you uploaded a TikTok video or an Instagram post, or you did a PowerPoint presentation, or you used your iPhone to do any of these things, your phone, you didn't know how to do anything. You didn't know what menu options, you didn't know what features, you didn't know what buttons, but quickly you learned and people shared with you different tips and tricks. And this software really is no different. It's just different features and functions that you just have to learn how to manipulate the environment you're in. But it's not really any more complex than what you do today using Instagram or using PowerPoint. So
yep.
Keep that in mind.
One other little note, you remember when I saved my snapshot here and brought all of these items in together as I had built it? If you want to break those back into their individual components, you just hit these three dots, hit ungroup, and now I can grab the individuals again. I think this clownfish looks fantastic in this coral reef. All right, let's show you how to create animations and how to do recordings. This is a fantastic feature that only exists on the Engage platform, and it makes creating animations and content very, very easy. You'll see here in my tablet that I have a recording button right here. If I hit that recording and then come up here, I can choose whether to just record myself, everybody in the room, or just certain individuals. In this case, it's just me in here. So I'm gonna keep it on just myself and hit that record button. It's going to give me a countdown. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Madsen. I've been playing in VR since 2013. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, right below the base of some beautiful mountains out there. Welcome to Engage. I'm now going to stop that recording, and I've just made myself a 15-second recording. Let's go ahead and save that. And let's now replay this. Check this out. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Madsen. I've been playing in VR since 2013. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, right below the I'm going to pause that. I just paused my recording. This is not a video recording. This is a full 3D recording, not only of myself, but it captures everything that's happening in your environment, including what you're showing on video screens, literally everything. So then what I can do is go into the advanced features and play this back with lots of different options. Let me show you what that looks like. Let's pop that out. And this time I'm going to come back in, grab that same recording. This time I'm going to play it back as an IFX or an object. Before I do that, let me delete all of the existing IFX. We're going to start from a clean slate. There we go. Let's go back to my recordings, advanced playback, and this time we'll play it as an IFX. So here I am. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Madsen. I've been playing in VR since 2013. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, right below the base of some beautiful mountains out there. Welcome. Let's rewind that a little bit, and you'll notice now that it's an object, I could shrink this down, and now I've got this wonderful little diorama. I'm going to pause that. I have this wonderful little diorama with me animated. I can scale that up and down as big as I want, but the important thing about this is I can take this recording, put it into our content creator, and build out additional interactions and content around this. Buttons that you can push that will make something happen. Trigger areas where if I walk to a certain location, a doorway might open. It really unlocks the imagination, and you can really do anything with that content editor. Let me show you how easy it is to create an animation with this. All right, this time I'm gonna go ahead, let's go with the dolphin. All right, so I've got the dolphin here. I'm gonna go back into my recordings. Let's record myself one more time. And this time, I'm gonna puppeteer this dolphin. Here we go. The recording has started. And let's swim this dolphin around. Maybe he's curious about what's lying in here. Nope. Let's go over here. He's going to search around in here a little bit. Here we go. And then he's going to swim off into the distance. There he goes. Now let's go ahead and stop that recording. I've got a 24-second recording. We're going to save that. And now when I come back to play that recording, we're going to go back to advanced playback. And this time I'm only going to play the IFX. And here we go. Instead of spending hours creating keyframes, we should see this dolphin appear. There he is, doing exactly what I had instructed him to do with my puppeteering. And this is all automated now. And now I can take that animation, put it into the content creator, and save myself countless hours trying to create an animation from scratch.
Chris, let's pause on this because this is the extraordinary power of Engage. And for all of those that use this tutorial, what the Exponential Destiny team will emphasize to you is the reason we like Engage. They've got some very good looking avatars, all this feature functionality. They've got a lot of assets you can pull in, a lot of digital objects, so rather than buying them off the web or trying to import them in there, you saw that Chris has got hundreds, I think there's thousands of objects to choose from you can pull in. But what Chris just showed you there, where he took a dolphin and using his invisible strings, he called it puppeteering, he made that dolphin move in certain features and directions and do certain things and then leave and then it swam away. He recorded that after he made it go through those motions, and then he can play back that recording, okay? You can have recordings that you embed in other recordings. So you could have the turtle and the dolphin, right?
Yep.
The point is this is functionality. You will not find this type of functionality in most platforms. This is what makes Engage unique. And it's also what makes Engage extremely powerful, because if you think about it, you are basically creating theater in this environment. You yourself with your team can think of multiple actors. The dolphin's an actor, the green turtle's an actor, the book is an actor, the avatars, and you can record these things within different recordings and actually orchestrate a full-on theater with all these actors doing exactly what you want. So when you're finished, Engage has the capabilities to let you just play the whole thing all at once. And that's really, I don't know, Chris, I don't think we've seen this even in other platforms. This is something that Engage has invested in from the beginning, this recording ability,
Yes.
playing back recordings within recordings, which is, if you think about it, it's kind of a mind-blowing creative expression. It's a new art form. It gets to be like a new art form, really. And
It does. It just unlocks so many possibilities.
You can do music. Why don't you show them how you can bring in mist and rain as well to create ambiance? I think
You betcha. Before I do that, I do want to show the media feature because, videos might be an important aspect of what you're creating as well. Let me show you how easy it is to do that. Again, I'm going to come over here to my filter in the IFX group. And this time, you see we have 6 primary filters up at the top. I'm going to go for video screens this time. You see that video screens has now popped up to the top. That's showing that it's filtering specifically for that. I'm going to click my blue check mark and boom, I've got 2 pages of great video screens that I can use. Let's go ahead and pick the standard video screen. I can place that wherever I want, scale it how I want, and now comes the fun part. Let's go into my media. When you click the My Media tab, you can go, you have web links and you have video links. These are attached to our web app. So if you can use your phone, you can use a computer. If you find a video on YouTube, for example, that you like, or you have a PowerPoint presentation that you want to share a link with, you simply add the links into your web app and they will show up here in my virtual menu. In my video links here, I've got hundreds of video links that I have saved on my web app. And there we go, very accessible here. So let's see what I've got. Let me pull up a PowerPoint. Here's one I put together quite some time ago called The Birth of Consumer VR. And you can see, let's go to the proper view, slideshow view. There's my slideshow or my PowerPoint presentation right there. You can automate what slides are showing in the content that you're creating in your space. So if you want add some pictures or this functionality, you certainly can. And to progress through the slides, I simply touch this to move through the different slide decks. There we go, that easy. Now let's hop over to my video links. I've got a ton of them here. Let's just grab one at random. How about I got some music ones. I've got lots of 360 video ones here. We'll show you the 360 theater shortly. Let's go with Green Rat. Here's one. God, these are all, they're Oculus commercial. There we go. We'll just throw this one on here. There we go. And let's pull in a bunch of screens while that's playing. I've got curved screens. I've got TVs on stands. We've got TVs on carts. You can even make little tiny screens, shrink those down, and make those shareable so that people can carry that around with them like an iPad.
Hey, Chris, Mark, why don't you talk a little bit, because you got audio, why don't you talk a little bit about spatial audio and the effect that you're feeling in there as an avatar on your headsets?
Oh, it's amazing. It's fantastic sound. We do have 3D audio, and the importance of that is when you turn the 3D audio on, if you didn't have 3D audio on and you had 20 people in here conversing, everybody would be talking over everybody else and it would just be chaos. With 3D audio, it's just like the real world. The closer you are to somebody, you can hear them louder than you can the person 10 feet away from you. This allows you to get into small groups and have private conversations and not disturb the people that are having a similar conversation 10 feet away from you. So, you know, imagine 70 people in here, you definitely want that 3D audio turned on. Now I'm going to show you a really special screen. It's one of my favorites. It's called the chroma screen. Some of you might be familiar with the green screen technology. You know, like even on Zoom, you can activate a chroma key, a green screen background, and you can put any kind of background you want into it. But in VR, it works a little bit differently. I'm going to come back into my screens here and look at page 2. I've got 3 types of chroma screens. I like the one that always faces the user. Now, because I have a regular video, it looks normal. But as soon as I pull up a green screen video, you're going to see the magic happen. Here we go. I'm going to go back into my media. I've organized my green screen content by typing green. And here we go. Here's all my green screen content. So let's say I want to see a zebra underwater. That's interesting. Let's try that. And there we go. There's your zebra. It's not a 3D object. That is a flat screen, but it almost looks 3D because of the way it's animated, and you really can't tell from this distance. It's a very powerful technique to bring things to life. You can tell very quickly that that's not a CGI object. That is a real zebra. Let's bring in another one. Yeah.
Just to be clear, that was a video that someone made of a zebra with a green screen around the zebra. So when you bring it in VR, the green disappears. So you're just seeing the actual video of everything that was outside of the green.
That's right. There you go. We have 2 men conversing. And what's cool is no matter what angle I look at this screen, it's always going to face the viewer, no matter where I stand. Let's bring in another one. You can even use special effects. Like here's a campfire. This is easy. You can find a bunch of these on YouTube. A lot of these are free to license. Here we go. Come on, fire. Let's skip forward. There we go. There's your fire right there. And what's really great is a lot of us might not have green screens, but there's an online platform called Runway ML where you can upload a video that you've made with your cell phone, and you can pick the pieces of that video that you want extracted and put into a green screen mode. So I did that actually with one of my cell phone videos. Go back into my media here. And I got one of my wife and my grandson walking along a river, and I extracted them from that video using that Runway ML platform, and there they are. I didn't even have to use a green screen. That's the magic of it. It was a simple video that I'd taken with my cell phone.
Oh, that's cool. So Chris, that's software that will let you can erase everything that you don't want to show up.
Yes. Yes. Yep. So there you go. A little bit of media magic. You can also do web browsers and all of that sort of content. So Mark, you'd asked me a question right before I showed that. Do you recall
Well, one of
what
the
that
things
was?
Yeah, one of the things I think would be interesting is to show people how you can bring in ambiance and attitude, like
Yes.
mist and rain and thunder and
Yeah.
lightning,
All
which
right.
would probably not in the ocean you want to do it, but some
Yeah,
other.
let's go somewhere else. How about we go to one of my favorite locations is, oh, you know what? Let's just go to a construction site because I do want to show some photogrammetry there as well. So let's go there. All right, so here we are in the construction site. You can see this one looks quite realistic. We've got a huge pit that goes down. But what I really want to show you is some of the special effects that we have. So these are also considered IFX, but instead of stationary objects, these are special effects. So again, coming to that almighty filter right here, we'll click that. And this time we'll go to the effects section. Let's click that. Effects is now activated. And let's go here. Great. Let's bring in some tornado clouds. Marcus said a storm would be nice, and it's so dry here in Utah. I am definitely welcoming a storm as well. I'd love it to rain here. So let's look at this. We've already got the clouds starting to come in. Now let's bring in a little sound ambience. How about we type in thunder here? Let's see what it brings up. Oh, it's because that's an audio. Let me delete that. I'm going to go straight to thunder again. It's under our audio effects. And here we go. Let's go thunderstorm. You should start to be hearing some rain. Let's even bring in some thunder sounds. There we go. It's starting to sound pretty good now. And let's bring in, what else? Oh, how about some rain? So I'm going to go ahead and type in rain, R-A-I-N. Hit the search. Oh, I typed it wrong. I-N. There we go. Heavy rain. There we go. You should be able to see, hopefully you're seeing that on Zoom. We got a rainstorm. I'm actually getting rained on here. We could even bring in a tornado if we want to get really crazy. Here we go. You're gonna see a tornado starting to form up here. Oop, tornado right there. Oh, it's the sound of the, oh, there it comes, there it comes.
These are great effects that you can put into any environment. You can put sunshine, you can put lightning bolts, you can put, I mean, there's just so many different effects in the software that lets you put things in. Oh, I like that. You put a cow that's in there.
All right, let's go ahead and delete all of those IFX and let's talk a little bit about photogrammetry. Photogrammetry is becoming a greater use case all the time because now our modern day cell phones even allow us to scan objects and bring those real world objects into a virtual reality platform. I would love to show you an example of that. Let me. I think I've got a snap. Yes, I do have a snapshot of that. We work with a team called River, R-I-V-R. They specialize in photogrammetry, and this was actually taken with a cell phone. So let me pull this up. I think it's this one right here. And load. There we go. This is a photogrammetry scan. You can see the gentleman that did the stick scan. He actually got scanned himself in the process. And again, you can use a cell phone to literally just walk around the real world object, capturing that data. They use specialized programming for this. You can download all kinds of different apps to do this, scan that car, and then bring it into existence. And look at the detail here. It's captured literally every single piece of this accident on the road.
Is this using LiDAR, Chris, or this is just using a photograph?
So this one is actually using LiDAR as well, but it doesn't have to use LiDAR. You can, there's like for my Android phone, I have a scanner. All it's doing basically is taking video and it's converting like every 32nd frame of that video into an angle. And then it combines all those angles to create that 3D object. I mean, let's go inside here. Look at this. Look at the details. So talk about being able to create content fast and easy. I even scanned my grandchild when he was born. 6 hours after he was born, I broke out my phone, did a scan of my grandchild, and brought him into VR. So imagine something like this, creating this from scratch in a 3D platform using like Blender. This would take days and days of dedicated work to create even something close to this versus 20 minutes of doing a scan and then processing.
Just to be clear for people that are listening, there's different ways to bring objects into virtual reality. You can use a software like Blender to create your own from scratch. You can bring a video in using the green screen methodology with Runway
ML.
Runway ML, which is a software that Chris highlighted that lets you bring in video to make certain effects. And this specifically is you take your phone, and your phone using either the LiDAR, the thing that scans, the new phones have LiDAR, which is just a way to image objects. Or I think what you're illustrating, Chris, is you can literally just take a video with your phone, and there's special software that will take that video and turn it into a 3D object.
That's right. Yep, exactly. Or you could even, Tilt Brush or Multi-Brush is a very popular drawing program. You can go in and using virtual reality, draw out an asset and create all kinds of things. I'm going to bring in, look at, this is an example of just, you can create that literally in Tilt Brush in about 1 minute. It's just 2 brush strokes, really, just 2 brushes, draw those and bring it in as an effect. Here's one that's a little bit more elaborate. Here's a spider, one of my colleagues drew. Again, very quick to render those sorts of things on that platform. Let's see. Oh, this one took a little bit more time. This is a fully fleshed out one. This is a well-known Tilt Brush artist. She goes by her name Splash Mango. She's created entire scenes using Tilt Brush. You can see the details here. So again, using third-party applications to build out content can be really advantageous and then bring those into the platform. All right. Let's see. Let's go to, we've done recordings, we've done media. If you want to, maybe at the end of one of your sessions or your lessons or your experiences, you want people to take a survey, what they thought was important about your lesson, maybe give them some multiple choices. You can create all kinds of different forms and surveys and then attach that to a button or just attach it to the timeline. And at the end of the experience, their survey pops up and it'll just automatically pop up. They'll have a virtual keyboard that they can type in their responses. For example, here's a high IQ test I'd put together a long time ago. I can go back to forms. Let's deliver that. Here's what it looks like. So all of a sudden, they'll just have something like this pop up. What shape is the Earth? Well, it's let's say it's banana shaped. We'll submit that. Incorrect answer. Next one. Owls are the only birds that see the color what? Blue. That one is correct. Great. So there's 4 questions. This is a questionnaire. And then at the end, as an admin, I can go into the results and see how everybody scored or all the comments people might have put in about what they thought of my experience. All right. So that is a very, and within each of these categories like IFX, you can go deeper and deeper into the capabilities. What I provided today was a very general overview of what's possible in Engage. Marcus, do you want me to pop in maybe and show an example of the results of a content creator, what you can do with that?
Yeah, maybe. I think maybe this was the goal here was to show them just very organic capabilities. I think though, Chris, if you want to jump into something that you've already created to show them what something can look like after you've spent weeks or months building out something, So they get an idea, because remember, this competition runs to June of next, runs to June of next year. We think that teams will have, I think the submission date for experiences is March 1st of next year. So teams have a lot of time to build stuff. And it'd be great to show them what some finished product or experiences or stories might look like when they get all the way through it, because I know you've created some magical experiences using this platform.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's see what I've got here. All right, this is actually a pretty cool one right here. This combines a lot of different elements. Let's go ahead and start this. Here we go.
So Chris is loading up something that he's created in the past, which exactly like when you guys share with us what you've created so the judges can evaluate it as part of this competition, you'll basically do what Chris is doing right now. You'll bring up something you've created and show it to us.
Okay, so the reason I picked this particular one, some content you create, it's a very passive experience. It's almost like watching an interactive movie where you do feel present, but you're basically a spectator watching all of these things happen around you. This one's a little bit different. This is a static, more interactive experience where this is a scan of a care center. This was done in an 8-hour period by somebody with a Matterport camera who put the camera in different locations in this care center, and it captured all that data and brought it in as a photogrammetry model. You can see it's very detailed. You can see the theater down here, the cafeteria area. When you do a quick scan like that, it does have some artifacts in it, but there's still something very compelling. Look at that. You got the piano there, you got a billiards table, you got a lobby area. And what I've done is I put these interactive buttons in here. For example, if you want to see a close-up of the billiard room, you just click this button, and now you're in a 360 version of this billiard room. Let's go to the theater, click that. This is a little more interactive. It brings the space to life. So now we're in the theater. I can see a little movie playing in the theater screen. And when I look up here, I can see that same movie. It's like we've gone inside of this experience. Okay. Let's go to, they have a little rest area over here. Let's see. Right
Chris,
here. Yeah.
One thing that I think would be valuable that we encourage people to do is if you're trying to build out a space, that has empathy, awareness, and education for your sustainable development goal, there might be certain areas that you want to have an avatar come out and explain something about your sustainable development goal.
Like maybe this.
And the thing that you can do in the software is you can have these action buttons that can actually take a pre-recording of you explaining something, so you don't have to do it yourself many times every time someone comes in and looks at your space. So if I want to do a tour of your sustainable development goal experience and you want to teach me something in these different sections, you can literally hit a button and that button will activate a recording that Chris showed you earlier of you explaining something. And that way users can walk through these environments and get they can do self-service. They can walk through and just hit buttons and learn without anyone being in the room manipulating or doing anything. So
that's right.
Self-service.
An example of that, even if you wanted to do a green screen of yourself as that speaker. Let's see if this one still works. Here we go. Let me bring in the screen. Here we go. So it might look like something like this. So there's all of a sudden my guide in this space.
We achieve things together. And today's about a celebration.
And you can activate, the user can activate that themselves when they walk in and they hit something.
They can push a button or like,
or there that says, click here to learn more. And when they click that button, it plays this video and this person describes something. A really effective way if you're trying to describe the sustainable development goals and you don't want to use a PowerPoint slide in VR, you want to actually have this person describe something.
In this case, we might actually want to go down inside of this dollhouse. So I put a little drink me button in reference to Alice in Wonderland. And if I hit drink me, watch what happens. We're now going down inside the dollhouse and we are now at 1-to-1 scale, free to roam wherever you would like within this experience.
Yeah, and on my screen, it's a little bit, of course, because of I just want to emphasize this for people that watch the replay of the video, things are a little bit choppy, meaning you're seeing things jumping around. It's because of the bandwidth. It's in the software. Nothing is choppy. You're
Right.
it looks
Smooth
like-
as glass inside
it's-
of here.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
very smooth. And for everyone in there watching, it's smooth. You're just seeing it jump around a little bit because we're on Zoom and we're streaming it to Zoom, and the bandwidth is causing it to hiccup once in a while. That's all.
That's right. Yep. Let's go ahead and eject that. Okay. What do you think, Marcus? Kind
only other thing-
of covered the basics here. We do
Yeah, I
have
think
the-
there's, as far as the art of the possible, meaning giving people an appetite, the only thing I think might be interesting is if you want to show the 360 video room.
Let's do that. I think that's a great idea. Here we go.
So yeah, so this is an option where you can go into this special space to watch videos that were filmed with a 360-degree camera. So some of you might decide to use a 360-degree GoPro
Mhm.
camera to create some content, and then you can play it in this environment.
Here we go.
Now we're all going to be watching this on a Zoom screen in 2D, so it's not going to be as fantastic as when you're actually in virtual reality. Chris is in VR, so he sees this around him 360 when he turns his head in the headset.
There we go. Really powerful experiences in 360, especially when you're doing this with other people. Look at this. It feels like we're on a sled being pulled by these dogs.
And so again, if any of you want to, it's different, right? Because you're not getting in and putting these dogs as 3D objects and animating them. What you're doing is you're using a 360-degree camera, which you can buy now pretty cheap. They're a few $100s. GoPro makes a good one. And you can film just like you would with your iPhone when you do filming. You can do it with this GoPro, and it just captures everything around you from a 360-degree view, up in the sky, down at your feet, all around you. And then when you look at it in this environment, you feel like you're there. You feel like you're immersed. Again, it's hard to show it on a 2D screen.
It
on
is.
Zoom, but you get the idea. Yeah. So that's, I mean, just to recap a little bit, maybe just have a discussion with you, Chris. Because I think this is going to be a good resource for teams that decide to use the Engage platform. I think you did a good job of just, again, demonstrating them the art of the possible, like all these techniques and capabilities in the software. We want to emphasize the people that to get to a proficiency level in here with all the features and functions and different menu options, it really is learning like PowerPoint or learning how to load a TikTok video or something like that. It's not, notice Chris didn't code anything. He didn't write any computer programming code. He literally hit features and functions. And it's pretty intuitive. The other thing is it's kind of the 80-20 rule. You learn 20% of the functionality, you can probably create 80% of the value. Like, you don't have to be a power user to get really dangerous in this software to make something amazing. You can just learn 20% of it, just a surface level understanding. And you can get in and do some pretty advanced looking content, because this software goes pretty deep. I mean, Chris knows, every time I talk to him and he shows us stuff, he shows us new stuff that we didn't even know was existing in the software. So it's also a very fun software to learn because there is so much to discover. We will tell you this, not all software is like this. You guys will start to find out when you go into some of these other platforms, you don't have the ability to record and play stuff back. You don't have the ability to throw up a pop quiz. You don't have the ability to automatically throw in a 360-degree video. You don't have the ability to pull in, 1,200 different objects. A lot of the other platforms you'll realize don't have as much of functionality as Engage does. That's one reason we're recommending it, especially for this use case. For building out empathy, awareness, and education around a sustainable development goal. To build empathy, you need tornadoes, you need rain, you need mist, you need music, you need scenes, landscapes like planet Mars. I mean, you need some emotion that you provoke. And this platform in particular is very good at that. Chris, the only thing I think I'd like you to show, just because it's so friggin' wicked, is show them how you can actually take I really want people to understand this because it's so amazing and I'd love people to experiment. These are the people that are going to win this thing. In this software, when you give us a tour of your sustainable development goal, you could give us a helicopter tour or a bus tour, and we can actually ride with you And it sounds a little bit crazy, but Chris, in the software, there's functionality, it's not that difficult either, where you can bring in this helicopter. You can have 5 or 6 people in the room with you that will board the helicopter, and then you can fly over your environment and see it from a helicopter point of view. I think Chris is showing you that now.
Got to get a little soundtrack here. NASA. Here we go.
So if you're in virtual reality, Chris would literally say, jump into this helicopter, and you click and you get into the helicopter, and now you're flying over. And I've been in this, and it feels like you're in a helicopter. You can look out the windows and look down, and
this is what
it's really extraordinary.
We go for a mission to the moon. Our path has led to success and to bitter losses.
We come together today to mourn the loss of 7 brave Americans.
Yet, even when faced with tragedy and setbacks, we persevere.
That's the quick way to the top right there.
And Chris is literally navigating the helicopter
from space. We see.
I don't know if I give that a good landing rating right there. There we go.
I remember one time, Chris, someone jumped out of the helicopter. We lost them, but we could see them down there.
Oh, and we had to fly down and rescue them. They were waving at us from the surface. Yeah. It's so fun when you have others in here working together. It's really a whole new level of magic when you're working with others.
Yeah, Chris has been doing this all where he's the only person in there working, but you could have 4 of your team members from anywhere in the world, and you'd be looking at them face to face, hearing them like you hear them in real life, left ear, right ear as you turn your head. It really is a very realistic experience. So look at all in all, Chris, and maybe we can jump out of here and just have a conversation with you briefly. Because I've been anxious to create this video with you and Engage, because I get excited when I see how friggin' extensive the platforms are becoming. I mean, it literally is your imagination on what you want to create in here and how you want to display it for a user.
It is.
And, and I don't think when we emphasize to people that we're launching this competition, and you have to take a sustainable development goal and build empathy, education, and awareness around that goal. Now, I think when people watch this, they'll understand the extent of your imagination in terms of fulfilling that goal and producing that space. I mean, Chris now is showing fireworks that are popping. I mean, there are thousands of effects. There are thousands of objects. There are all these tools like recordings and embedding recordings. You can literally create almost like a movie production in 3D without any coding and without any real deep technical or even software expertise, because you've been using somewhat basic features throughout this whole.
Yes.
Would you suggest, Chris, that you've been really just touching the surface on some of the basics?
Absolutely. Yep. Here we go. All right, guys. You want me to pop out Marcus and join?
Yeah, I think that's great. Awesome.
All right. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, the reason I want Chris to join us is, before we end the video, is I'd like to talk a little bit about where you can find some additional resources to train yourself further on the Engage platform, because what Chris took you through was a little bit more to expose you to what the tool can do, but a detailed tutorial about how you use the software, that's the piece that we need to direct you to some of those resources. Is it this screen, you guys, or is it a different screen where we actually have some of the tutorials and videos that are online that people can learn more with,
this is the
step-by-step instruction?
This is the link that was recommended. It was the Engage Wiki. And so if you folks can scan this QR code and be directed to all the available online documentation for Engage. Not sure if Chris, if you have any additional guidance on any specific video tutorials, if that's available on the Engage Wiki as well.
Yeah, Chris, where do people go to just learn without having, because here's the deal, the software is so new that in the last few years, you've seen a lot of user-generated training content, because the platforms themselves put out some stuff. It's very similar to PowerPoint. Like, I don't learn PowerPoint by going to Microsoft PowerPoint's website and learning it. I go on to YouTube videos where people teach me how to learn PowerPoint, and people created their own training. Where's that community, Chris, right now, where you feel like people in our community should go if they really want to start to polish their skills and learn this stuff? within Engage.
Yeah, so we do have a community channel for creators. What I could probably do, because you guys are going to have a lot of creators coming on board, I think we probably should open up a unique channel for the SDG community and have some of our experienced folks popping in there and being able to give some feedback and direction and some ideas and things like that. I think that's a fantastic idea, Marcus.
Is there, right off the bat for this recording, are there certain YouTube channels, or was it the wiki thing that
So
Marco?
Engage XR will have some content, but I would highly recommend, for answers to most of your questions, it's going to be going to the Engage website and looking at our wiki. So it's under the documentation and support section of our website. Again, that's www.engagevr.io. And that will take you right there. And then you can access that Engage wiki and look up everything I described today is all in that wiki.
Okay.
And I would also say, hop into the metaverse. Like when you log into Engage, we have on the main carousel what's called the miniverse. You can hop in there 5 days a week around the clock and talk to one of our Metaforce agents there, who can also answer your questions directly and even show you how to do certain things right inside of Engage.
Yeah. So the point is, be resourceful. You know, the Exponential Destiny team is not here to be a training help desk for you around learning the platforms, because we don't need to be. I mean, you're going to learn the same way we learned, which is be resourceful, get in the software, put on the headset, go to the Engage websites, talk to people in virtual reality. I go into those environments all the time, and there's people in there and they'll tell you about things. If you sign up for the Engage virtual reality, the EngageVR website, if you sign up to be on like their newsletter or their email list, they'll show you, they have tutorials. Chris gives tutorials quite often. They have special events where you can go in and talk to experts or see other environments people created. You just got to be out there and get part of the community, and you'll learn. That's why we made this competition a year long. You got plenty of time to become really proficient on this platform. And the goal here was just to really blow your mind a little bit on all the things you can potentially do. Because I'm sure a lot of you did not think, I mean, I talked to some people their first time using virtual reality. They think, oh, I just thought you get in here and you use PowerPoint slides or something. Well, why would we do that? Why would we go into virtual reality to do PowerPoint? We'll do that on Zoom. Virtual reality, you can do so much more than that. Right. And Chris kind of illustrated that today, scratched the surface on it, but you could see there's just infinite number of techniques. I mean, the way I would summarize all of it is, I'm convinced that anything you think of, you can produce high quality professional environment with a basic understanding of the software. That's the extraordinary thing of where we're at with where these platforms are at now. And the cost on this stuff, the cost a few years ago for getting access to software like this was high. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. Now, because the market's exploded, all the platforms are out there, there's more competition. The cost to actually use this type of software, Engage software, I won't get into pricing with Chris right now. I won't put him on the spot, but it's pretty nominal. I mean, it's like you would if you got a license to PowerPoint, type of thing. So it's very affordable for schools, for educators, for businesses, and it's quite extraordinary. The only other thing I think is worth describing, Chris, very quickly, how do I, if I create something and I want to showcase it to the world, how does that work? Like, how does someone else access what I created in Engage platform? Like, how do I share it with others? Because the reason this is important is you can start to monetize for yourself. If you're an entrepreneur, you can create content and start to think about ways to monetize it down the road in terms of, and that's what platforms like Engage and others, they see that feature. They see that you're going to create content. People are going to want to see your content. You might charge them an entrance fee to get access to your experience. And maybe Engage takes a little percentage because they're the platform you built it on. That's the business model here. And the reason we want you to understand that is we want you all to become entrepreneurs in this space to where you can make income potentially. This is how the next generation of the internet is going to create income. Maybe you can show a little bit, Chris, if I like something I create, now how do I give access to people so they can experience it?
So we've built out what's called persistent locations, and these are spaces that exist 24/7, whether someone's in there or not. So you can put your content in a persistent space and share that code or that location with the world they can download Engage, hop in, and go to your world. We can also advertise that space if we feel it's something amazing that people want to come and visit. We can advertise that on the carousel, but anybody that's got that code can come visit your space. And now we're creating a real metaverse play called Engage Link, where you're going to see all kinds of public persistent spaces that people are going to come and visit. And one thing that we've offered Exponential Destiny for the SDG competition is that the winners who have used the Engage platform, we're going to be providing a space where the world can come and actually experience your content right on Engage Link.
Yeah, and what Chris is describing is what the future of the metaverse is, the future of the internet. That's what we're talking about. Consistent space, just like a website is always there, whether you're on that website or not, it always exists. These spaces are persistent spaces, meaning you could create a space and anyone in the world can go into your space whenever they want, just like a website. But when they go into the space, they'll see other people because they're in a virtual reality space and they see other avatars. So they're more social and interactive. That's what a metaverse is. This is the next generation of the internet, immersive and experiential environments that are all linked, that you can port from one, you can link from one environment to a next. And instead of hitting a hyperlink like you would on a website, in these environments, you actually enter a portal. Chris could have showed you, like he can put a portal, which looks like this magical orb that you can walk into, and then it transports you to another world. That's how you go from one space within these environments to another space. But it's the future of the internet. I mean, if you're a business, and it's very easy, even on the desktop, it works better than a website. It's more interesting to look at, even using a desktop, even if you don't have a virtual reality headset. But can you imagine in 3 or 4 or 5 years, when everybody has created spaces, what business is going to survive just by having a basic website anymore on a 2D screen? It's just not going to happen, because all the businesses will have exploded in organizations and businesses alike will have exploded into these stories and these narratives and these environments that let you feel and experience. And then, as you guys know, within a few years, you're going to start being able to buy haptic gloves that make you feel things. Or some of the headsets will have oils in them that give you smell, that smell gets triggered, like smoke or flowers and things like that. So that's where we're headed. Listen, Chris, we took a lot of your time. We really appreciate it. Your time is valuable. You're one of the top people in this space. Thank you so much. We really encourage people to explore with the Engage platform. They're going to be very supportive through this competition with us. So thanks, Chris, to you and the whole team at Engage for just continuing to innovate and pioneer such a great platform for us to use.
Well, thank you for having me out. And it's very exciting that all of your contest participants are going to be able to get really a head start into the future of creating spatially, because like you said, this is where everything is going. This is an awesome opportunity. And thank you for having me out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Just a quick recap. If you are interested in using EngageVR to build your virtual reality learning experience as part of the Metaverse SDG Global Prize Competition, this is the official website. You can see it here on my screen as a QR code. You're ready to build in VR. The website is engagevr.io. You can use this QR code. I'll leave it on for about 5 seconds. Again, we're inviting everyone to be very resourceful. There's a wide variety of online tutorials, and specifically EngageWiki. EngageWiki has documentation that walks you step by step on how to get started with Engage, how to download it, and any specific questions you might ask. There's also support there. As a resource specific to participants of the Global Prize Competition, you're welcome to contact us at info@sdgmetaverseprize.org. This is an email that you can contact us specifically to request a complimentary Engage software license. This is part of the support that we are receiving from Engage, and we're really excited about it because of all the features and functionality. Lastly, here is the official website of EngageVR.io, just so that you can all see, and you can quickly download it as easy as a couple clicks away. So thank you all, and I hope you enjoyed today's session. Anything else that you would like to add, Marcus, Sam, or Juan?
No, I think just once again, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Engage, for the amazing tutorial. The tutorial will be posted on the SDG's Metaverse Prize website. So, if anyone needs to watch the video one more time, the website will be out there. But I think that's all for today.
Cheers.
And then here are our online channels. So look out for this recording on the website. It should be available in the next 24 to 48 hours. See you next time in 2 weeks.